Here on the Young Living farm in Guayaquil, Ecuador, at the Ylang Ylang plantation, it's harvest time again. The main production time for Ylang Ylang runs from February to May, and that's the heaviest production, just as the monsoon rains start to end. The trees load up with water from the rain, and they put flowers on. The flowers become very heavy laden with the water, which increases the glucose, or what we call the bricks in the flower, and that all converts to essential oil, and is very exciting. Ylang Ylang trees produce the highest level of oil at nighttime. In fact, if we picked the flowers at night, they'd be the most fragrant. And because we have the Ylang Ylang trees around our house, and we have our window open at night to let the breeze in, because here on the farm, there's, just like you see the leaves moving here, there's always a gentle breeze that blows most of the time, and it's just most refreshing. It keeps the air clean. It helps to move the mosquitoes out during mosquito time. But at night, when it's cool and that breeze blows in through the windows of the house, the whole house fills up with the fragrance of the Ylang Ylang flower, because the Ylang Ylang produces the most oil in the flowers during the nighttime. So it's really important that my crew comes in the field just after daylight or soon after daylight and start picking. And I like to end the picking no later than 10 o'clock, because after 10 o'clock in the morning and the heat comes up, the oil will start to go down in the flowers. And so when you come in the field and you smell the trees in the afternoon or even noontime or later afternoon, mid-afternoon time, the fragrance won't be as intense. Even when you pick a flower off the tree and you smell it, the fragrance isn't as rich, because the oil will always go back during the heat of the day to preserve the tree. And then at night, as it cools, it comes back into the leaf. Very, very interesting how it preserves itself. And when we're picking flowers, it's most interesting because, you know, with the Ylang Ylang, very much like other plants that produce aromatic oils, and perfume houses and brokerage houses and aromatherapist brokers for oils, the problem is worldwide, and it's everywhere. If a company that's marketing oils is not growing the plant or engaged in a cooperative growing project with the farmer, as we are in Young Living, and Young Living owns over 4,500 acres of farms throughout the world. We have farms on 5 continents and distilleries, and we are in partnership with many others. But through that, I supervise the majority of the growing, the harvesting, and the type of distillation that we do with our plant material through Young Living. That's why in Young Living, I can guarantee the highest quality essential oils that exist in the world. One, simply because I grew up as a farmer. I understand plants, I understand soil, I understand nutrition of the soil to produce a good outcome. And if you don't know that, anyone can come along and sell you an essential oil and say, hey, it's really good, and here's a GC to show that it has all the right constituents in it. But that is not necessarily true. Anybody can print a GC. Only if you grow, only if you plant, only if you harvest, and if you understand what's supposed to be in that plant to make it the finest quality oil in constituents, and you understand how a GC can be operated, and the beautiful function of a GC and an MS and identifying the compounds and the percentage of them. But there's more to it than that. It's coming and understanding what is the best time to take the leaf or harvest the plant, whether it's rosemary or lavender or clary sage from the field. What is the best time of the day? Just like the Ylang Ylang. The best time is at midnight to 4 in the morning. That's the best time, but it's hard to get people to pick during that time of the night. So we pick at daylight till 10 o'clock because we found that the oil maintains up till 9, 10 o'clock, and then we'll start losing some of that value. But the next thing that's really important to know is which flowers do you pick? You know, you can look at a flower like this, or in many cases, pickers will pick a flower very similar to this. So you still have a flower, and you can see here the nice long petals on this flower. This one is starting to shrivel, is starting to atrophy. And why? Because this flower is over mature. This flower looks just almost right, and you turn it, you can see the yellow leaf here. And let me get one more. Yes, right here. Now we have a good visual where we can really see the difference. We've got a flower that the petals are starting to shrivel. This flower is over mature. Then we have this one that's got a nice yellow leaf, and as we turn it, we can even look inside here and we see there's a little green on this leaf. But if we compare it with this flower here right beside it, it's still relatively quite lime green in color. What we have again is just like other plants. It is in the harvesting and knowing the right time and here the right flowers to pick, because harvesting Ylang Ylang is all done by hand. So when you pay a picker by the kilo to go in and pick the flowers, this is what you'll have. You'll have green, you'll have yellow, and you'll have oxidized brownish yellow. And this will all go in the basket because that picker wants to make as much volume as he can, because that's how he's paid. And unfortunately, in the commercial farms, that's how it happens. So you'll have a mixture of green to yellow to brownish, oxidized, shriveling flower. Now what makes that bad? When this flower starts to oxidize, such as this, it also, because the compounds start to hydrolyze, it creates a sour smell, and that will affect the oil. And so you can go from having a beautiful flower like this that's yellowish and mature and rich in fragrance, which would be classified as an extra fine grade. With Ylang Ylang, we have 4 grades. We have extra fine, we have fine, we have first, second, and they'll even give a third and a fourth qualification, but the only ones that we're concerned about are the first 4 grades. So we have extra, and this here would be classified a 3rd grade or 4th grade oil. The green here would be classified also a 2nd grade oil because it hasn't matured yet. Now, how do we know when the flower is mature? That is really important to know. And one is you start, as we have done here, as I have done here, training my people how to recognize the flower to pick. So I pick it, I have them smell it and smell it and smell it until they build a memory of the smell. Then I have them pick this flower that's oxidized and smell it, and you can smell the sour note in it, almost like it's rancid. It still has a beautiful fragrance, but you can smell that sour note, that rancid, just it's very mild, very little, but it's there. And so we don't want this. This is okay for the oil brokers out there that's just selling oils in the aromatherapy industry, but not for Young Living. Young Living stands on quality and standard higher than any company in the world. And why? Because I supervise all the growing and harvesting. And here again is the best. Now there's another way to tell with Ylang Ylang flowers. You can take and open the flower up, and right at the base inside you'll look where the petal connects on, and you'll see here a little spot of red. And generally it'll show on one. I've not seen it on more than 2 petals, and there we go. We open it up and we look at it, and there's the red right at the base of 2 petals. When we see this, it's indicative of the compound called indole, which is very, very important in the Ylang Ylang oil. You don't get that when the flower is too mature, and you don't get it when the flower is not mature enough. So if you don't pick at the right time, that very, very key note in the essential oil is not going to be there. This is what makes Ylang Ylang extra fine, and that is only found in Young Living essential oils.